Hello, 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 and welcome to C3Arts Radio. I am your loyal host, Philip Harvey, and I am here coming directly to you from City College, New York, of course, the college on the hill. And we are the broadcast arm of the City College Center for the Arts, coming to you every Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on WHCR 90.3 FM. That's our terrestrial home. But you can also catch us at WHCR.org, or you can live stream us and catch us online on tunein.com. That's WHCR-FM. And we are your Arts and Culture Connect and home for arts advocacy. We do all that, ladies and gentlemen, and so much more. And not only do we bring you all of the personalities, the events, the opportunities, right? The opportunities, yeah, that's important. The news and everything from the world of arts and culture, both locally, of course, right here in Harlem and New York City, but also nationally and also internationally as well. And as the broadcast arm of the City College Center for the Arts, it is our primary duty to make sure that you are aware of what is happening here on the campus of City College and on the stages of Aaron Davis Hall, and on the walls and the galleries and the other performance arts centers that make up the cultural arts complex here at City College, New York. We do all that, ladies and gentlemen, every Tuesday right here, 5, 6 p.m. And even more than all that, sometimes we do so much here. We have so many personalities coming in and out. And of course, it's the summertime, so you can expect a lot more. But we also try to make sure we bring you the best in music. Now, generally, we bring you music from all over the world. And then we concentrate it into what we call the C3Arts Radio Music Hour, which is what we are right now in the midst of. And this is where we sometimes concentrate on certain musical themes. Because as we always say here, sometimes you just have to let the music play. So today, ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax. Look at that saying, sit back and relax. It's so usual. But anyway, it fits here. So we want you, if you're driving in your car, if you're at home relaxing, if you're outside, listen to WHCR 9.3 FM. If you're looking on your laptop, on your computer, or any other kind of handheld device, and you are listening to us or watching us, then please, as I said before, sit back and relax. We're going to get into some music. This is the C3Arts Radio Music Hour, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are concentrating on the rhythm and blues. And I do mean rhythm and blues, and we'll get into that more in a moment. So we're talking about rhythm and blues as it evolved into the late 60s and late 70s form. Someone, one listener, one person in the C3Arts family said to me that we don't play any R&B. We play all this music from other parts of the world, so on and so forth, but we don't play American-grown rhythm and blues music. And I said, au contraire, but we do. And today our C3Arts Radio Music Hour is dedicated to just that. So stick with us, ladies and gentlemen, C3Arts Radio.
Now, tighten it up. Yeah. Now let that guitar fall in. Oh yeah. Everybody can do it now, so get to it. We gonna tighten up, do the tighten up. You can do it now, so baby get to it. Do your left now, do your right. Everybody can do it, but don't you get too tight. Come on and tighten up, tighten it up now, tighten it up now, tighten it up. Do the tighten up, come on and tighten it up now. Come on now, Billy, tighten it up. Oh yeah, sock it to me now. Tighten it up. Come on, tighten up there, baby. Oh yeah.
Come on, tighten up, babe. Come on.
Now look here. I want that guitar to fall in on there. Tighten it up now. Oh yeah. Now tighten it up, Augie. Yeah, now everybody tighten it up now. Now look here. We gonna make it mellow for you now. We gonna make it mellow now. Tighten it up, you can get it. Tighten it up now. Move to your left, everything will be out of sight. Come on and tighten it up. Tighten it up now. You can do it.
I'm gonna walk away from love. Gonna walk away, gonna walk away. I'm gonna walk away from love. Gonna walk away, gonna walk away. Gonna walk away, gonna walk away.
It's not that I don't love you. You know how much I do. And it's not that I found someone to take the place of you. It's just a fear that builds within me every time you touch my hand. And a dread that shakes my body that even I don't understand. So I'm leaving.
I'm leaving, yes I am.
This time I'm playing it smart. I'm gonna walk away from love. Before love breaks my heart. Ooh, you're clinging to me tighter than you ever have before. I don't understand it, but I know it's gonna take everything I've got to keep walking out the door. But those arms you got around me will let me go someday. And I'd rather leave you holding on than pushing me away. So I'm leaving. Yes, I am. This time I'm playing it smart. I'm gonna
C3 Arts Radio. This is your loyal host, Philip Harvey, and of course we are in the midst of the C3 Arts Radio Music Hour. And we're concentrating on a little rhythm and blues today, ladies and gentlemen. The exact music people have said that we don't play here on C3 Arts Radio. So we're going to give you an extra dose here in our C3 Arts Radio Music Hour, but I want to give you a little information on what we've been playing here. Now, the first song we just played, Tighten Up. Tighten Up. Archie Bell and the Drells. Now, I could have put that into a question for you and see if you knew the answer, but maybe unfortunately Archie Bell and the Drells is another group that has been kind of lost to time, so to speak. And that song, Tighten Up, was one of their biggest hits. And the most interesting thing about perhaps that song is that it came out before the group really hit its stride. Now, the word stride can mean many things, but in this case, I think with a lot of groups, especially in the 60s and the 70s, stride means you got together with a couple of producers like Gamble and Huff, right? Signed to Atlantic Records, and then you're off, right? Well, this was their introductory song, the Tighten Up, and you could probably hear some of the influences of that era of the late 60s. I believe that song came out in 1967. And the structure of the song, it's of course around a dance called the Tighten Up. And a funny story about that dance is that Archie Bell had been down about something. He had been upset about something, and one of his good friends decided he was going to cheer him up. So the way he was going to cheer him up was by enacting and doing this dance called the Tighten Up for him. And it did its job in terms of not only raising the spirits of Archie Bell, but it also inspired the group's first hit, of course, is Tighten Up. And Archie Bell is very interesting. There's something I didn't know about him, was that he had a younger brother named Ricky Bell, who played in the NFL for some time. Unfortunately, he passed, but I remember him as a big NFL fan, and he was a hell of a player himself. So Archie Bell and the Drells, the Tighten Up. Now, after that, we got into another song, which you probably, some of our younger listeners may not have, of course, not even known the song, but also recognize the voice. Now, some of our older listeners, of course, know that voice very well. It's the voice of David Ruff, and of course the name of the song was Walk Away From Love, which is a song that hit the charts hard, right? It topped the R&B singles chart in 1976, and it was number 9 on the pop charts. And this was after David Ruffin had this tumultuous kind of exiting from the Temptations, and there was some question about which way his career was going to go. And this got it off to a rocking start. Walk Away From Love was a huge, huge hit, and at least for a while, kind of pushed Ruffin away from some of the demons. Now, there are a number of projects that are coming out. Of course, maybe you saw the Temptations movie. They went into it quite a bit. In fact, it was kind of eerie in the sense. Remember, if you've seen that movie, and at the end where David Ruffin would appear, there'd be this kind of operatic music and this and that. The villains hitting the stage, hitting the scene, this type of thing, right? But on the other side, no one, and I mean no one, ever doubted the talent of David Ruffin. And Walk Away From Love was one of the songs that he made as a solo artist, which really and truly captured that. So, C3 Arts Radio. This is, of course, your loyal host, Philip Harvey. And if you want to know more about the music that we play here on C3 Arts Radio, you can always check us out online. Of course, you can go to c3artsradio.com. That's our website. You can check us out at C3 Arts Radio on Twitter and Instagram, and C3 Arts Radio on Facebook. Right? We're going to get into some more music. We're right in the middle of the radio music hour, and we're concentrating on the rhythm and blues.
See my baby dancing out there with someone else. He's dancing out there. I just wanna know, boy, please tell me so.
Time, you and I, show me what you do for me. And then will I don't try to hide your nature. No other girl could never reach you. And there'll never be a
all the poverty, heartbreaks and heartaches, ups and downs, phony smiles and envious frowns, there's still a lot of love and happiness to be found. All you gotta do is party down. When you're blue, you got nothing to do. Head to the party line. If you're feeling low, you got no place to go. Head to the party line. Oh, I like the party line. The big city and bright light. The big girls dressed in the skin tight.
C3Arts Radio. Of course, you're here with your loyal host, Philip Harvey. And we are in the midst of the C3Arts Radio Music Hour right here at WHCR 90.3 FM. Every Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, 5 to 6 p.m. right here at 90.3 FM, WHCR. Of course, the voice of Harlem. You can also live stream us, WHCR.org, right? Take a peek into the studio, and then you can listen to us online, of course. TuneIn.com, WHCR-FM. So, many ways to access us, ladies and gentlemen, many ways. And we just got through with a little stretch of C3Arts Radio Music Hour. Of course, we are, at the moment, we are concentrating on the rhythm and blues, right? As I said, people say that we don't play the rhythm and blues, like we would ignore the rhythm and blues. So, not only did I want to play that today in our C3Arts Radio Music Hour, but also get into some more obscure artists who made great contributions and probably weren't really recognized for such, at least not for any enduring period of time. So, we started off that stretch with Alice Clark. Now, who is Alice Clark? Don't You Care? That's one of my favorite cuts right there. Well, Alice Clark is a native New Yorker, of course, from Brooklyn, right? Now, she had a very short career. It's from like 1968 to 1972. She didn't actually record many songs around this time. Everybody knew she was a huge talent, but she was another person who got caught up in the machinery of the music industry, right? And so, being that, she decided it was better just to go on with her life, and so she's first entered the industry in 1968, and by 1972, when that particular song came out, Don't You Care, which was her biggest hit and has become bigger over the years, all the crate diggers out there know what I'm saying, it was over, 1972. So they put all of her songs together and made a compilation. So all the songs from 1968 to 1972, the complete studio recordings, was released, and Alice Clark has made it into the pantheon, I think we can say. So much thanks to Alice Clark and all the Alice Clarks out of there. The next song that we went into after that was There'll Never Be by a band called Switch. Now, I have to admit, I think I was in the 3rd grade or something when that song was my favorite song. I had to pull it out the webs. I remember all my favorite songs, right? From 2nd grade or something like that, 1st grade maybe, all the way up until I stopped kind of having favorite songs, right? That's not true. I had a favorite song not too long ago. Yeah, I gotta keep your favorite song thing up. Never give that up, right? Well, anyway, the interesting thing about this band Switch, right? Well, they were assigned when Berry Gordy tried to do a sub-label called Gordy, all right? In the late 70s, Switch was one of its biggest bands for a very short, brief period of time. Now, the lead singer, that voice may sound very, very familiar to all of our listeners, regardless of your age group, especially if you were watching the BET Awards recently. If you're watching the BET Awards, they seem very invested in keeping alive the career of one El DeBarge. Of course, the former lead singer of the group DeBarge. Well, many people don't know that DeBarge was preceded by Switch, which featured the older brothers, DeBarge family brothers. So that voice that you're hearing on There'll Never Be is the voice of Bobby DeBarge, who was the original kind of superstar in the family. He was the one that everyone looked up to. He was the supernova talent of the family. Unfortunately, he never really realized the height of his talent due to drugs and addiction. Unfortunately, this is somewhat of a common story, and it was one that really plagued the DeBarge family, unfortunately. But Bobby DeBarge was the original super talent in that family, and you can tell just in terms of his vocal stylings and such, how El DeBarge kind of came up mimicking his hero and older brother Bobby DeBarge. Switch didn't last long, but they had a number of huge hits that people from that era really kind of remember. They'll Never Be, I Call Your Name Girl, and so on and so forth. So big up to Switch. Legacy lives on. Legacy lives on. And then we finished off that stretch with another one, a goodie but oldie. Oldie but goodie. These are all oldie but goodies. But anyway, it was a cut called The Party Life by Little Beaver. Now, hey, that doesn't sound like a name of an artist, especially in modern times. Can you imagine a rapper coming out with the name Little Beaver today? I don't think he would get much street cred through that. But anyway, Little Beaver, his real name was Willie George Hale, Willie Hale, and he was known as an absolute superstar guitarist at the time, and he played on many big hits during that time period, like Betty Wright's Clean Up. He played for Casey and the Sunshine Band, I believe, along with a lot of other artists. So he was a studio musician and a side musician, and he cut he would cut a few records on the side, especially for TK Records. Well, this particular song, which came out in 1972, Party Life, was a big kind of underground hit at the time, and it was revived and given new life when Jay-Z sampled it for his American Gangster album and gave it the same name, Party Life. And it's very interesting because American Gangster is probably the least lauded album in Jay-Z's canon, and it's appropriate that one of its primary songs was sampled from one of the least lauded musicians of the 70s, and that was Lil Beaver, aka Willie Hale. Yeah. So much history in the music, right? So much history in the music. Ladies and gentlemen, this is C3Arts Radio. We're in the midst of the C3Arts Radio Music Hour. This is loyal host Philip Harvey, and we shall return. More music.
From
Anything you want from me, baby. You know I'll give it up, day or night. Is it real? Is it really real? I know just how I feel, so complete. Really, 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 really love you. Really, 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 really need you. Really, 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 really got you. Really, 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 really will do anything you want from me, baby. You know I'll give it up, day or night. Is it real? Is it really real? I know just how I feel, so complete. Really, 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 really love you. Really, 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 really need you, baby. Really, 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 really got you, honey. Really, 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 really will do anything you want from me, baby. You know I'll give it up, day or night. Is it real? Is it really real? I know just how I feel, so complete. Ooh, really, 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 really love you, honey.
Baby,
Really, 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 I really need you, baby. You know I really, 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 really got you. Really, 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 really will do. Come be my family,
And baby, I hear you talking to me.
and I'll be happy. Yeah.
And sugar,
So free to share my love
I wanna set you free.
and keep you with me. Yeah.
Baby,
Come be my family,
I hear you talking to me.
and I'll be happy. Yeah. So free to share my love
I wanna set you free.
and keep you with me. Yeah. Yeah. Come be my family,
I hear you talking to me.
and I'll be happy. Yeah. Free to share my love.
I wanna set you free.
And keep you with me. Yeah.
Baby,
Come on and be my family,
I hear you talking to me.
and I'll be happy.
C3Arts Radio. Loyal host Philip Harvey. You're in the midst of the C3Arts Radio Music Hour. And had another little stretch in there for you. Now, you might have heard something in there that you kind of are more familiar with. I said I was concentrating on some of the artists who maybe weren't so obscure at the time that these records came out, but history has lent a little obscurity to their name and their legacy. Now, the first artist I played, I Get High, right? That was Freda Payne. Now, you probably heard that kind of riff from I Get High in a number of places. It's been sampled again and again, right? I think Jadakiss had probably his biggest hit off of sampling that song. And it's one of those weird things because Freda Payne herself at one point in time was a huge star in her own right. Someone who, if she had been in the thrust of her career during this period of time, probably would have had a greater impact because she was quite popular and able to kind of maneuver herself through a lot of different areas. She not only sang jazz, R&B, but she hosted a talk show. She did quite a bit in her time and was quite a known quantity. Her sister, of course, played in the Supremes at one point in time, and the native Detroiter was, and any of my listeners in Detroit, this is another boy for you. Freddie Payne. Freddie Payne. Well, for other listeners who aren't quite as familiar, that is one of the classic songs, and of course, it is the heartbeat of many of songs that we might listen to today. Not today, like it was that long ago, but in terms of the hip hop canon, is a widely sampled song. We also went into Roy Ayers. Okay, and now, of course, Roy Ayers still is quite a famous artist, and everyone knows the kind of musical legacy that he has, and how often his music is sampled, redone, remade. Mary J. Blige, everyone, I swear that Mary J. Blige, as well as her third album, was just a pure Roy Ayers album, absolutely Roy Ayers album. But we know that songs like Life and the Sunshine and on and on and on and on. But what was quite interesting about Roy Ayers is what an eye for talent that he had. He often was able to find talent to perform with him, and even today, if Roy Ayers comes to your town and you are a talented musician or singer, that he will help put you on, still to this day. Roy Ayers. And on that song, you had Mary Clayton singing rather, and it's often one of these voices. He would craft these songs, and he generally didn't like to sing that much himself, but just to kind of bring out the voices in his head, and he always kind of knew what he needed to accompany him and make sure that his sound was close to what he was hearing in his head, right? And during this time period, he had, he was probably at the height of his creative output, right? And he made the song "I Really Love You," yeah. And often the songs seemed maybe a little simplistic. It just sounded good, but they were really quite complex on the inside. And though he gave his band members a lot of leeway, as a lot of the great kind of composers do or have done, who haven't so tightly crafted their songs, but kind of give a groove, give a guide, and then have talented musicians find their way through it. And Roy Ayers was like that, but it led to a complexity in songs because many of his artists were, of course, very well trained, very talented jazz artists. And his choice in accompaniment in terms of the other singers who perform on the album would just bring it all together. Now, on that note, if you were listening last week, you know that we were giving you our C3Arts Suggests, and on, I believe it is July 17th, maybe you have to go check us out online. Of course, that's at C3Arts Radio on Twitter and Instagram, and C3Arts Radio on Facebook, and also c3artsradio.com, and you can get all the exact information. I believe it is July 17th. There will be at Summer Stage in Central Park. Roy Ayers is going to be performing with Sean Kuti, right? And they are going to be doing a tribute, of course, to the great Fela Kuti. And we're talking about Roy Ayers knowing where the talent is, knowing where the talent lies. And he and Roy Ayers, of course, released an album together, which has become one of the classics. And of course, as I say, and as I like to say quite often on the show, you crate diggers know what I am talking about, right? Yeah. So that's C3Arts Radio Music Hour, ladies and gentlemen. Today we try to give you a little information about some of the more obscure cuts, more obscure songs from the huge canon of American rhythm and blues, right? That's right. And we'll be back. We do this once every 2 months or so. We do the C3Arts Radio Music Hour, where we concentrate on the music because, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you just gotta let the music play. We'll be back next Tuesday, C3Arts Radio. We're always back, and we'll get back into introducing you to some of the figures here in the world of arts and culture. Stay tuned. See you later. Bye-bye now.